This is Aberdeen, one of my favourite cities in the entire world. We lived just on the outside of Aberdeen in Aberdeenshire for a couple of years, and I'd love to show you my favourite 10 places to visit in Aberdeen in the hope that this will be helpful for you. So if you can sit back, relax and enjoy, I'll show you a quick montage of all that we're about to cover, and then I'll come back and give you some more detail. Aberdeen is located in the northeast of Scotland. It gets a lot more sunshine than a lot of other places in Scotland, although it can definitely be grey. And when the sun shines on Aberdeen, it is known as the Silver City because of all the granite that glistens in the sunlight. Any trip to Aberdeen should involve at least at some point a trip down this road that you're seeing here, which is Union Street. It's the main artery that cuts right through the heart of Aberdeen, which is, by the way, the third largest city in Scotland. Down the end of Union Street, you can see this really cool building here that is the old townhouse of Aberdeen. And in fact, if you just look a little bit further to the left, you'll see the next place that I'd love for us to look at in this top 10 places to visit in Aberdeen, which is Marischal College. Marischal College is probably the most iconic building or well-known building in all of Aberdeen. If you see pictures of Aberdeen, it'll often pop up. It was originally constructed or begun construction in 1835, but recently it's gone through a pretty major renovation and it's in pristine condition. It really does shine when the sun is glowing on it. Out the front of this very ornate granite building, you'll find a statue to Robert the Bruce. As you go from Union Street and Marischal College just a little bit further eastward, you'll come to Aberdeen Beach. Aberdeen Beach is very beautiful. I will warn you though that North Sea is not exactly tropical. It is rather cold. I have been in it. But it's a great place to go and to kind of get a view out towards the mainland Europe from there. You can't see mainland Europe, but you kind of get this feel of what the ocean is like out in that direction. It's a very iconic place to go and visit. There's a boardwalk or a paved path that goes right along the seawall, and it goes for quite a long way along there and is definitely worth checking out. I was out there at sunrise, which you can see here in these shots, and it's just stunning. Whatever time of day you're there, it really is a beautiful place to go. And in fact, if you just go a little bit further south, you'll come to Aberdeen Harbour. Aberdeen Harbour is an old harbour, and it's actually where the Dee River, which is on the south side of the city, comes out into the ocean, into the North Sea. It was for many years a major fishing port, but as oil and gas and the oil and gas industry really bolstered Aberdeen and the northeast of Scotland, it kind of went through a transformation of sorts. You can see here that there's ferries, there's a lot of oil and gas industry stuff, but it is actually really beautiful as well. You can kind of get down to the end of the harbour and see this very active port being used. You can see tugboats and bigger supply vessels for the oil rigs that are offshore going in and out, and it's a place worth checking out. Right there in the harbour, by the harbour, at the end of the harbour, is one of the best shopping centres in town, which is Union Square. If you go just a little bit further south again to the other side of the Dee River and Aberdeen Harbour, you'll come to Torry Battery, where there also is a lighthouse. Torry Battery is an old artillery defence, and it's on the south side of the harbour, as I mentioned, and it's really set up there to try and protect the harbour from any sort of enemy that would come in. It's a crumbled down ruin now, but at a point it would have been very important for Aberdeen and for its safekeeping. So right by the harbour, if you walk from the battery towards the lighthouse you can see in the distance, that's definitely worth checking out. That's known as Girdle Nest Lighthouse. If you go just a little bit further up the Dee River, you'll come to a place called Duthie Park. It's on the banks of the Dee River, and it's an awesome park. I actually have 3 parks that I'm going to include in this particular video. It has some great elevations, some great water features. There's this place that's not quite in this shot here, but just further to the left of this particular shot, where there's this winter garden where they have all these plants and species from around the world. It's really well done. If it's cold and gloomy day, that actually can be a really good place to visit. But Duthie Park, wonderful place to visit. Our kids in particular like the long slide that they have there. Another park that our family really enjoyed was Hazelhead Park. Hazelhead Park has this incredible rose garden, which is what you're seeing here. I mean, there's just bed after bed after bed of roses, all different shapes and sizes and colors and smells. And so if you're there at the right time of year, this is definitely worth checking out. Although Hazelhead Park has a lot more to offer than just the rose garden. It has all sorts of flowers, and then it has some really old cool trees. There's a great area for kids to play, a big playground, and then a number of sporting fields. And just further south of Hazelhead is actually one of our favorite places, which is a giant resale store where you can buy secondhand goods. It's called Somebody Cares. Our family in particular loves that one. That's a random extra that I'm throwing in there. Another place worth checking out is Aberdeen University. This is an old university. In fact, it was originally founded in 1495. The campus, which is just north of the center of Aberdeen, is an interesting blend of old and new. There's some old buildings, there's some new buildings, and a lot in between. In fact, one of the new buildings is this cube-shaped building, which is the library, which is called the Sir Duncan Rice Library. The campus, especially the old part of campus, I think is a beautiful place to visit and to walk through and kind of get an idea of the history and the legacy of this very old or ancient university. If you go just a little bit further away from the University of Aberdeen to the north, what you'll come across is the next park that I want to tell you about. It's coming up right now, and that is Seaton Park. Seaton Park is on the other end of Aberdeen in that it's on the banks of the Don River. We actually lived in Kintore, which is also on the Don River, just further inland in Aberdeenshire. But yeah, it's also, again, another beautiful park, as you can see from these shots. This was a spring day, and it was just stunning. It's so lush, it's so green. There's a very manicured garden right down the center of it that is worth a visit. That's this garden that you can see here. You can see just to the left the Don River, and it goes just a little bit further and then exits into the North Sea as well. But this is Seaton Park. Good playground there for kids as well, and a little bit of elevation, especially if you walk up to my final place, which is my favorite building in all of Aberdeen, and that is St. Machars Cathedral. This is a beautiful building, as you can see. It's got a lot of history. You can look up all sorts of facts and details about this building. I believe that it was originally a Catholic cathedral, but when the Protestant Reformation hit Scotland, it was then changed over to being a Church of Scotland church, which it currently still is. They've just put a new roof on. There's a lot of history in and around the building. It's a great place to walk about, and if the building's open, have a look inside as well. But this is definitely my favorite building in all of Aberdeen. I just love the history of this place, and it just has a very unique, distinct feel. So definitely, if you're able, put this place on your list. It's just sitting above Seaton Park. Well, I hope that these few places, I know it's gone quickly, but these few places have been helpful to you. Aberdeen is an incredible city, especially if you get it on a sunny day like it is here. If you're interested in finding out more about the surrounding area, please check out my other videos, which have a lot of information about Aberdeenshire, which surrounds this beautiful place. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.